And here are Blokees Galaxy version of Bumblebee and the Ultramagnus white robot mode out of the box and completely assembled. And man, these figures look amazing. These Blokees figures they keep amazing me with every single product, every single figure they come up with. I mean, I haven't been disappointed with a single figure that's come out except for that side swipe. I mean, that side swipe mode is great. I just hate that I keep getting it. But anyway, so very, very cool looking figures. Wow, especially this Bumblebee. I know I've done Cliff Jumper, but this Bumblebee, I believe, is the better version between the two. I mean, he's packed with, I think, just non-stock, non-standard body parts, especially the feet, the gun, the head sculpt, and he's got a couple of other accessories, which we'll get to in a little while. But let's begin with Ultramagnus, since this guy is sort of like a straight-up repaint of Optimus Prime. Now, if you're wondering why Ultramagnus looks like this and not like this is how he was in the cartoon. But in the old toy, the old G1 toy, they wanted to do another Optimus Prime because just to give it some variety, so they did a white version of that Optimus Prime G1 figure, and they gave it a new trailer, which was a car, automobile, transport, truck trailer, and it was essentially the new version of Optimus Prime. But in the movie, they turned him into the combined mode. This is how he was depicted in the 86 movie and the cartoon, and they never really got an animation render for the G1 toy, the white robot. But that was really such a cool toy back in the day because it's like you had two robots in one, the small robot and the big combined robot. So this is the small white Optimus Prime mold robot, and rightly so. What they use is the same Optimus Prime mold that we got from Series 1 and from the Shining version Series 1. Now, I still don't have I have actually the Galaxy version 1, but I haven't assembled it. But this is the Shining version Optimus Prime, which is essentially the same figure, and you can really see that they've really utilized the exact same parts and pieces of this figure, down to the smokestacks, the head sculpt, even the blaster is the same. They just changed the colors. Also, this figure comes with that extra pointy hand that also came with the Galaxy version Series 1 Optimus Prime. So that's really cool. One thing new about this figure, though, is this Energon axe, which the old Takara Tomy and Hasbro G1 figure did not have. Even in the cartoons, Ultramagnus has never had this kind of Energon axe. And this one actually looks more like a War for Cybertron video game battle axe, which actually gives me hope that maybe Blokees could be working on a War for Cybertron or Fall of Cybertron video game Optimus Prime. That would be really cool if they actually did that. But as you can see, it's exactly the same figure. They didn't change much except for the color of the plastic and the paint apps. Even the paint apps, look at this. In the old figure, it never had the matrix of leadership. But right here, you can see somewhat a silhouette or an image of that matrix, which really, if you wanted to be cartoon accurate, this guy should have had that silhouette of the matrix, but they put it on this figure, which is very interesting. So very, very cool, very, very pleased with this Ultramagnus figure. Okay, now let's move on to Bumblebee, and I thought this was such a cool looking figure. It was a lot of fun to pose. He is so G1 accurate. I'm really loving this figure. He comes with a blaster and a blast effect. Just be very careful with this blast effect because you have to clip it onto the barrel of the gun. You don't want to break that gun. Or you can actually just pop it in like this. Should kind of hold it, but not really. Yeah, this is the only way to do it. You just clip it on. So just be very careful with that. This blast effect will also work with other figures like Ultramagnus. And essentially, Ultramagnus will also fit some War for Cybertron Trilogy Hasbro blast effects. And the same with this Bumblebee figure. They're all blast effect compatible with the Hasbro blast effect products. Okay, so onto this Bumblebee figure. I'm loving the sculpt. It's not something we haven't seen before. It's basically the cliff jumper mold, but with a new head sculpt and new feet. And this feet, I think this is the one that sells it to me. Now, okay. The head sculpt is great too, and I love the colors. So this is really one of the best figures in the line. If you're a big Bumblebee fan, he's a very popular character. Man, this is one of those things you got to track down. I'm loving it. The only thing that I find, if at all, any comments that I have with this figure, negative comments, is that he's not completely in scale with the other figures. He is still shorter than, let's say, an Optimus Prime or Ultramagnus, but if you want him in full scale, he should be this tall, like just up until the abdomen of Optimus Prime. That should be the proper scale. But I'm glad they made an effort to make him not as big as the others, because he is much smaller. The cartoons and the toys, obviously. But I do like it. I love the paint apps on this one. You can see some really nice, this is his windshield. In car mode, he even has the spare tire, the wheel right there on the back. I love that his blaster is not the generic blaster we've seen from other figures like Jazz or Sideswipe. They really try to make it as G1 accurate as possible. I love this head sculpt. Man, it is very cartoon accurate. It would be nice if we get a shining version of this figure. I would totally be down for that. Speaking of the shining version, here is Cliff Jumper. This is the shining version. This is not the Galaxy version, as you can see with the silver face. And this is what I'm talking about. I'm glad they weren't lazy, and they didn't just repeat the stock feet from Cliff Jumper, and they've actually put some Volkswagen Beetle car parts on this figure. So really, really nice. I'm liking these two figures, Bumblebee and Ultramagnus, and despite Ultramagnus being a repaint, I think they did a wonderful job with this one, giving him a battle axe. This figure deserves a 10 out of 10. Bumblebee, I am very, very impressed with this figure. He's obviously going to get a 10 out of 10 as well. These Blokees figures, really, really impressive. They're nice, little, cute, G1 styled, very accurate figure. And I've been wanting to say this with some of my reviews of the Blokees, but the Blokees are really action masters. They're really modern, fully articulated action masters. If you were alive during the 80s, early 90s, Hasbro did release some G.I. Joe 3.75-inch scaled or styled figures called Action Masters. And the whole concept and gimmick of that was, there was an ad for Action Masters, and Optimus Prime was calling Autobots who would sacrifice their transformation for articulation and posability and all that. And then some of the Autobots volunteered, as well as Decepticons, and they all sacrificed transformation for posability, because, you know, in the 80s, the G1 Transformers had very little articulation. You could not pose them. And Hasbro, their bread and butter were the 3.75-inch G.I. Joes. They were selling like crazy back then. So they decided to make sort of like O-ring figures or pseudo O-ring figures of Transformers, using their technology for the G.I. Joes, and it was a hit. It was a hit back then. Non-transforming Transformers were a novelty back then. So, yeah, these are the modern-day Action Masters. And just before we finish up, I forgot to mention Bumblebee does have a ton of other accessories. He's got this communication array, so you can speak with Spike. And I thought this was pretty cool. The instructions tell you to just mount it, have him hold it on the gripping fist, and you know that should work out well. But for me, I think oops, sorry, almost broke him. I think it works out best if you just mount it on his forearm. You'll need to assemble the forearm differently though, with the solid piece facing inward and the peg hole piece facing outward. So I thought this was a very, very nice touch, because, you know, Spike was his best friend, his best human friend. And on top of that, this figure, I think, is the only one with the selfie-ready thumbs-up fist. So really nice, this Bumblebee figure. And if you just want one mold, either Cliff Jumper or Bumblebee, not take anything away from Cliff Jumper, I love this figure, but I think Bumblebee is the superior mold or version of this mold. Also, Bumblebee, I think, is one of the few, if not the only Galaxy version figure with the regular Galaxy version figure with an Energon cube, because this Energon cube was only present in the Shining version figures. So really packed, this Bumblebee figure. I'm very, very impressed with it. So there you go. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think of these Blokees Transformers Galaxy version Bumblebee and the White Robot Ultramagnus. Hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of my latest video reviews. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.